What up, JJ? How you doing today, buddy? I know yesterday was rough. Things doing a little bit better today. It's EA account stuff. Over it. Do I sound okay? I sound weird in my headphones, but it could be my ears. Hi, love. How are you?
You know, and if you ask me about goaltending, I'll tell you this. I thought it
That's
was
not the one I
a
want.
subpar performance by his standards, just based on the level of play we've seen over.
Tried to do goaltending on this game. Sucks. Absolutely sucks. JJ, sometimes not caring is okay. Just gotta let go of things sometimes. But I do hope things get better. The Grap Soda guys had a good show. the GOAT, Andrew Thompson, was on there with them. I'm here to chill and play some hockey for a couple hours. And then, you know, we got full gear tonight. What's going on, Ron? How you doing, buddy? All right, so how many preseason games are left? Because, like, at this point, let's just jump into the regular season, right? So there's 3 more preseason games. We're going to do 1 preseason game. We're going to play the Kings. And then we're going to go regular season today. I'm wasting time with preseason anymore. You should have kicked him in the head, JJ. That's what you should have done.
It's Sting! The Vigilante! Sting! That's not Sting, that's a picture of Sting. That's Sting. It's a picture of Sting.
I can't talk over Sting. Can't talk over it's Sting. Thanks for resubscribing, Throwback. How you doing, buddy? NHL 2K21. Is that this, or did EA come out with a game? I missed the NHL 2K series. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope it's a good weekend for you. Ryan, you went on a 6-mile jog. I went on a 3-mile jog. You still should have kicked him in the face. What up, Ricardo? We got your back, JJ. What was I saying? Oh, I went on a 3-mile jog. The weather is not warm. The weather is 40 degrees here. And very cold out. But, you know, got to get them runs in a little bit. I had a purpose for my run. So it's always good to have a purpose for the run, I feel like. How you doing, Ricardo? Whichever's on Xbox. I don't have an Xbox, so I don't know what is on Xbox. Are you going to Survivor Series, Throwback? You would switch places? I don't mind the cold. Oh, well, you don't want to lose your job, JJ. I know we've talked about that. Hopefully, you know, hopefully you can get something and move on to a better situation, because I know you're not happy there, buddy. And I know it's tough to try to leave something when you don't have anything else lined up when it comes to work. I hope you're able to attend, Throwback. I do. Loves, it is cold to run, but again, I had a purpose. All right, here we go. We're gonna simulate these preseason stuff. Like,
a couple of other roster races
let's get to the regular season here.
It's been talked about to death. It started before camp, before the physicals for that matter.
I will get cocky.
Can the rookie
I'm very
crack
fucking
the roster?
good at this.
Can he make the team, this youngster? A lot of anticipation. There's one game to go. And I'll tell you what, I would be shocked. I will be shocked if he's not on the opening night roster. He's been
Oh.
that good. He's been very good in my mind.
Definitely.
I don't think this game is going to make or break based on the body of
Ron,
work
give
that I've
JJ a
seen
job.
from him so far.
Can you do
Doesn't
that?
hurt if he plays well, but I think he's on this
Lunch
team.
and
What
a
say
nap.
you?
That sounds
We'll hear
good.
from you and what you have to say, and we'll do that.
I would like to have lunch. Yeah, my guy is still, he's still cocky, son of a bitch. He is. You know, when you're the best, you're a little bit cocky. I'm gonna have lunch after this, which I realize is strange. I'm gonna have dinner after this, I should say. And then, you know, prepare for full gear and staying up till 5 a.m. Alright, here we go. Final preseason game. Hope your interviews went well, Ron. Why are we... I thought we did a custom experience. Let's go back off of up. Yeah, we always use the preset stuff. We're good here. Alright, here we go. Our team sucks. Just garbage. I gotta... Seems like we're playing our best lineup based on everything here. JJ, if I could actually pay you to be head of PR for us, I would 100% do it. It is Sting. Drew! Drew! Drew, I'll read your message in a second. Drew says, gonna show some love for a bit, then I have to head out for our meet for a long time tonight in front of the screen. Cannot wait! It's gonna be a great night, Drew. Hope you're doing well, pal. Everyone go to youtube.com/FightfulDistraction and check out Drew's appearance on the show on Wednesday. We're gonna have Drew back at some point and get the pals involved in the Wednesday and Monday shows. At least the Wednesday shows. The Monday shows will be a lot of Joseph and I reviewing stuff. But Wednesday... Oh! Wednesday, since everybody here is pretty much an AEW fan, I'll try to get the pals involved and show them some love. Get people over, you know? I continue to have ideas for the channel. It's just a matter of time and how much we can, you know, get in there, because I still have other things to do. These Malachi Black interviews aren't going to listen to themselves. These 30 Tony Khan interviews a week ain't going to listen to themselves. They're back here a Fed fan. We can't have you on.
Los Angeles takes hold of the puck. Here they come up along the wing. Seattle's got the puck inside the defensive
Oof.
zone.
Look at that. Took a hit to make a play. That's what it's all about right there. Good shift, good shift. Drew, you rule. And like I said, I want to try to get the pals on. When you were on the show, the late night show with us, that one night. I feel like you've been on another show, but it's definitely the late night show when you were on. I really enjoyed that. And so once, you know, I know we underwent some changes with the Twitch, and then I got busy, and then Rampage happened, but I got ideas. Getting the pals on, always a plan. Oh, that sucked.
Peterson's able to make the save, and on top of that, deflects it out to the corner.
They had Dougie Hamilton? Oh my god.
Handles the pass from the right side. Here's a shot. Denies him with the pad. And that's broken up in the defensive zone by Dunn.
Alright, well, they're quite fun.
Forcing a stoppage in play.
You're a Bruins fan, but you're also a Fed fan.
Inching closer to the midway mark of this period. We've still got zeros on the board.
Look at this picture of Brandon Tanev.
Official signals for the players to get into position, and we're about
Yo, Drew, you're on the watch along? Yes, we will have a watch along on this channel. I don't know what time it starts. It's Joel Pearl's deal. I imagine it'll start with the buy-in. So buy-in starts. Buy-in starts at 7, but I don't think the first match is gonna start until like 7:30ish, because I think they usually do the video packages and stuff. And there's only the one match, so. Puck. So yes, there will be a watch along here on Twitch. There will be a post show on the Fightful channel. It'll be myself, Alex Pulowski, Will Washington, two great minds in wrestling, and myself talking AEW Full Gear. So it'll be a late night, and then I'll have a lot of written work to do, but it'll be a fun night. Should be a great show.
Los Angeles has it near the wall.
Tomorrow, this is not This is not set in stone by any means. Do not hold me to this, but it is possible Joseph and I will be on the Distraction channel to review Full Gear instead of waiting until Monday. We'll see how things go. Again, do not hold me to that. Joseph and I are talking. We're trying to figure it out. It's also possible they are on the Patreon and do it tonight. That's really what it kind of comes down to. If they review it on the Patreon tonight, then we won't do it tomorrow, and we will unite on Monday to shitty pass. We'll unite on Monday to review the show together. But if they do not do a Patreon show, oh, that was kind of bad defense on my part. But if they don't do the Patreon show tonight, Joseph and I will probably get on the Distraction channel tomorrow to review the show. So things are up in the air, but 100% I will be on with Will and Alex to review the show tonight after it airs on the main channel. It's a long night, JJ. I don't blame you for chilling, watching it tomorrow. Obviously, do your best to avoid spoilers, unless you don't care about spoilers. Alright, we're not playing well. Defensively, as usual. This defense just isn't good. Uh-oh. Ah, I shouldn't have deeped that much. Keeps hold of the puck. Here's a short pass to McCann. And that's a great heads-up play by Mata. Fuck. Feed from the left side. Yes, I know what Joseph tweeted, and that's why I suggested to him if he wants to do it tomorrow, we can. The thing with Joseph, as people know, is like he can tweet that, and then after the show is over, he can be very fired up and just decide, okay, let's do a post-show. So that's why, yeah, I don't trust that they won't do a post-show tonight. But I did see his tweet, and I did see Shoot's tweet, and that's why I told him, hey, if you want to do... Hannah! What are you doing? Why are you, like, not hanging out with everyone? Why are you here? I appreciate that you're here, Hannah. But shouldn't you be, I don't know, harassing Sean Ross Sapp? Yeah, that's why, again, it's very, very possible that they end up doing something tonight. You guys know how Joseph and those guys are. But if they don't do a show tonight and Joseph is up to doing the show tomorrow, we will do it tomorrow instead of Monday, and then we'll come up with something else for Monday. I'll have Hannah on Monday's show, and she can give her live review of Full Gear. I like how Hannah gets a bigger reaction from my girlfriend than I do.
looks to move the puck from their own end. Along the side, here they come through the neutral zone. Shoots it, denies them on the play. Along the boards, they battle for the puck back and forth. Sends a pass over. Slides it across to Gorn. Streaking through center, they go on the attack.
Ugh.
The Kraken have gained control of the puck along the wall. Los Angeles gains a hold of possession.
You're curling your hair. I'm gonna say you're curling my hair.
Picked up along the wall by Larson. Seattle's got a hold of the puck.
You don't know where Sean Rossap is?
Long reach breaks
He's
up the
probably out mingling with the superstars of the World Wrestling Federation. JJ, if we do it tomorrow, my guess would be early. I don't know an exact time, but I want to try to have potentially Shoot on and potentially O'Neal on, and we're all football fans, so yeah, you know, we're all football fans, so by 1 o'clock we all want to watch football. So I would imagine if we do it, it would be like 10 o'clock or so. And don't explain the joke, okay? Yeah, I'm thinking like 10 o'clock in the morning or so, JJ. 10 o'clock would be my guess.
As the captain of this team, he's got to be the one to rally them. He's got to be the one to show them a way out of this mess they're in.
No room for that one to get through. LA's got it in their own zone. Oh, no love with the glove by Peterson.
Peterson's had a solid night here. His save percentage is really good while they've built a comfortable lead.
Inching closer to the midway mark of the period. 3-0 is the score.
Not a great final preseason game so far, I must say.
Velarde's won it in their own end. Los Angeles with possession in their own zone. Moves the puck along the half wall. Moves it quickly over to Giordano.
Okay, Everlay.
Got it across the line. Move to the middle. And he's right there. They can't connect. And that somehow stayed out of the net.
Really good work. I like this chance here as they get the puck into a scoring spot.
Had some chances here.
Peterson's gonna give everyone a chance
I'm sorry,
to
JJ.
breathe and hang on to the puck.
Oh yeah, I did see him tweet. He was at the Busted Open media thing. Well, JJ, we're sorry that you could not watch live if that's the time we decide to do it, but you'll catch the replay, and we know you're there in spirit. But yeah, I'll let everybody know if and when it's going to happen. Because again, Jesus, I don't know if it's going to happen. It is just something we have talked about within the past hour or so, and things are up in the air as far as, you know, if we do it. Let it play out.
Good read with the stick to break that up. Fails to find the open man.
Yeah, defensive recovery. Puck. I'm just gonna go off on the line change.
Takes it across the blue line.
Yes, Full Gear is gonna rule. Sam, how you doing, buddy?
Well past the midway mark of this period, it has been a
I heard the grin was very good, as it is very good every week, and everyone should support at latenightgrin.com for $1 or more. If you're not happy, Bob O'Neill will give you your $1 back. Just your $1.
Turns it aside with the glove. Treacher's on top of the puck, and that'll stop the play.
Pretty conservative play here, James, as he covers it up to kill the play.
Dakota Kai against Raquel for NXT. I guess people still watch that show. I don't know.
LA's got it, and they're on the attack. Big time stop there.
I saw they introduced Grinny, which that's a confirmed shoot, just specialty right there.
Taken by Dunn. Takes the pass. Takes the puck into the corner of the offensive end. Oh, what a little stick lift on the play, and comes up with the puck. Oh, textbook hook check to turn that over. Moves it to Eberle. The
No
Kings will
room.
play it from the
No
defensive
room
zone.
out there.
Puck dumped in. The Kraken have possession along the boards. Slides the puck across to Eberle. Puts it up front.
Oh,
Off a stick
tried to
and
get a
they
turn
can't
feed
connect.
there. Did not work.
Los Angeles looks to break out in their own end. And uses the length of his stick to knock that puck away. Peterson's going to hang on to the puck for a whistle.
Oh, thanks, Sam. I gotta
Getting into the
upload
later stages of this
the
period, LA's got a 3-0 lead. They have been in control right from the start.
Become Human video to the Distraction channel. That'll probably go up on Monday. So I think I have.
Blackwell's ready for
No.
the try as they
Yes,
continue
it'll go up
to be
tomorrow, actually.
shorthanded here.
Working on some other stuff. Kyler's helping me out with some stuff to keep content fresh on the channel.
Back underway. And they get that puck down the
I
ice.
do have an interview with 90 Day Fiance star
His
and
reflexes on display.
wrestling superstar Paula Blaze. That'll go up
First one.
Monday or Wednesday. Not sure which day, but one of the days.
And the traffic jam in front blocks
I was a
the shot.
scoopster this week.
McCann's
Hope everyone
time is almost done.
made sure to give me credit for my big scoop on Paula Blaze.
By Blackwell.
Even though they don't get one on the power play here, they still have a comfortable lead. The one thing you don't
I'd like to
want
just
do
get
is
a
give up
goal right
shorthanded goal. Maybe that sparks the other team a little bit.
That should have been interference, right? Like, I was not near the puck and you decided to hit me.
Slides the puck into the offensive zone. Here he is.
He
Shot right
danced.
front.
It was a
And
nice
he
little
makes
move,
the save
honestly.
on that play. It sends it just out of reach. The Kraken have gained possession off the wall. Textbook stop by Peterson. Kopitar
I was
putting
fake
the puck
scoopster.
through
Please do
center
not.
ice.
Please do not say I've been a scoopster. Oh, Oracle told the story of Gritty. Oh fuck. Oracle rules.
Period of regulation time. We'll see what happens in the third next.
Oracle's absolutely tremendous.
Third period action. Are you ready? I'm ready. Ray's ready. The players are ready. Let's go.
Let's go, they said.
Here we go. Third period set to get underway.
Just get
Simply too
one.
much to
That's
not
all
enough
we're
at this
asking
point.
for here.
Well, we've got 2 periods under our belts to this point so far, Ray. How do you see
Oh.
things?
The Kings don't have to change anything. Now in the third period, James with a really comfortable lead. They just want to ease their way home.
Here's
Let's go. Good feed. Good feed on the back door. Got the one there. It's nice.
Down by a couple now, and they can now press to see if they can make it a straight.
6th goal of the
comeback
preseason.
is on.
We're racking them up in the preseason here.
If you're the goalie here, you just want to move as quick as you can. Maybe it'll hit you, but it's so close to the net that pass is
Good
on the
feed.
tape, but
Very
on
good
the tape
feed.
in a hurry. The
Um,
rookie's had a really good game,
one
and he
second.
gets a little tap from the coach.
Oracle's
as he comes
always telling
back to the bench. That
stories.
doesn't happen very often. Pretty satisfying when you know the boss is happy with you.
We've called his name multiple times. He's been all over the ice tonight.
Steven Jensen is asking me a question. Oh, all right.
The Kraken have got one back.
I think
They
she's
still
going
trail
to
by
do.
2 in the
There
third.
was
Yeah,
there.
Jacob,
She can't
this
do
is a big
Reputation
goal.
just yet, right? I figure she'll do Speak Now next.
You've got to take the period over.
Sneaks away with the puck after he was tangled up on the draw. Stopped by the goaltender, getting a piece of that one. Oh, Ray, I'm sure he's going to be shaking his head over that one.
Yeah, you just don't get many of them. And when you do get a chance, you want to put it on target.
And now he tries to get it across to Arvidsson.
But Red is my favorite Taylor album, and this version is just as good as the original version.
Not much time left here as you get into the final 20 minutes. The game's close. A mistake now would be critical. James, in a close game, the coach is still looking for more energy, so he's going to go with the rookie. He needs those young legs. He needs something to happen now.
They need a little sugar
Trying to
rush.
generate
Let's see if they get
momentum.
it. Lots of hockey left to be played in this period. Los Angeles has a 3-1 lead, and their fans who made it down for this one are loving it. The frozen biscuits dropped, and we are back underway here. Big save.
Oh, come on. Just knocked it in.
Rebound and makes it count the second time.
I mean, look, all of her albums are great, but Red will always be my favorite, probably, just because of how much it meant to me at the time. Like, objectively, I've probably listened to Evermore and Folklore like the most out of all of them, but the new version of Red I'll probably be listening to a lot. And All Too Well will always just be my all-time favorite song. And it's tough for me to let go of like that classic stuff, even if some of the newer stuff I truly love.
Iafallo's hands make him always a danger around the offensive zone, but he can't pull this one off.
Oh, good stick by Everlay. That shot sucked.
And I think he's seen enough because he stops the play when covering up the puck.
Oh, guys are going to be bent over trying to gasp for breath. They'll be in favor of that move.
Officials getting ready to drop the puck. Puck possession so key in today's game.
Hamilton's got that long-range wrister that forces goalies to be sharp, guys. His heat-seeker zone ability means he can get balls on target even from a distance.
More than half the period left to play. LA's really put the squeeze on here now, up by 3. They take possession as he locks them up off the face-off. Puck picked up by Kopitar. Great reflex on display.
Why did he turn like that?
It's showtime! No! I mean, ta-ta! Ta-ta for now! No, wait! It's showtime! It's showtime!
Oh my god, I don't know what just happened. I just hear Sting yelling, Sam! Drew gifting the sub to Sam.
Los Angeles moves ahead with the puck. And
Drew the GOAT. Sam, make sure you say thank you.
High quality chance, high quality save.
Favorite track off of Evermore? Shit, it might be Evermore.
Los Angeles wins the face-off. Tries to get the puck over to Arvidsson. And it's poked away in the neutral zone. Nice heads-up play there. Passes over to Gore. Seattle's got the puck in the defensive end.
Oof.
Los Angeles has possession of it now. Centering pass.
Willow, probably my favorite track off of Evermore. Just because that one means something. So I have an Evermore and Folklore like mixed together. So I legitimately will get them confused on which one is on which album.
Who had the edge in Carlin Bates' mind? She's standing by with the answer.
Kopitar's been buzzing, and he's been rewarded here. His name in the box score proves he's had a stronger night, guys.
Off the trot, he ties up his opponent.
But big fan of Willow. I'll have to relook at the complete track list because again, they blend together with my playlist.
You know he wants another. Everybody's thinking offense tonight. They don't score on the power play, but they accomplish a little bit here. They melt some time off the clock. They don't need the goal, but they don't want to make any big mistakes.
And that's poked away by
That puck
Blackwell.
battle went nowhere.
Play is blown dead with the offside.
What's your favorite track off of Evermore, Sam?
Past the midway mark of the frame.
Defensively, we played big shit. Goaltending still very bad.
Here in the later stages of this period, the Kings are giving their fans a lot to cheer about tonight as they lead at 4-1. And now it's grabbed by Giordano. Slides it to Larson.
Who were we passing to
Trying
there?
connect the pass, but it doesn't go. Oh, a clutch save!
Drieger's had to be on his game. That's a great chance.
Problem is, he hasn't been on his game.
The Kraken have taken over in the neutral zone. Cuts into the paint. And the
I basically blocked my own teammate's shot there.
Great pressure on the offensive end by Gould. Seattle's got a hold of it along the wall. A chance. And he comes up with it.
Peterson's able to make the save look really easy. Now he doesn't have to deal with the rebound either.
Less than 60 seconds to play in this blowout. Great defensive play at center by Giordano.
Oh, why'd you cut in? Well, see, there you go. It was a good-ass song. And the 300 remixes she put out for it.
The Kings gain possession. Taken by Kippe. Off a stick. Oh, what a
Just
save
play
by
it.
Krieger.
Now, by being in the right position, James, he gets so tight to the shooter, there's nowhere for the puck to go.
Dishes it to Brown.
Not a great final preseason game.
Right back to him.
Not a great final preseason game.
The Kings played along the wing. Scores! That's back to back.
I think we just gave up a goal there.
The game has changed. Those 2 goals here really have changed the outlook.
Both teams readying here for the face-off.
Steven Jensen is going to join us, I believe.
Slides in off.
It's the only tune off the record you've listened to. Sam, what's wrong with you? Listen to the whole thing.
Tries to break out from their own end. Here's a short pass to Kopitar. Unloads it. Denies him. He got all of it. And he hangs on just as time runs out. There's the final horn, and this one's in the books. It's somewhat shocking that for a team to play so well over the last little while here, Ray, suddenly comes to an abrupt end like this.
This is why sports is there.
Right, I believe Steven Jensen's going to join us.
It looked like the coach was
Gonna-
kind of giving an earful to the kid out there. How did you see things?
Gonna banter about. Probably talk some full gear.
Trying to motivate a player and making it clear.
Fuck off, coach. Not good enough. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I was the only person who scored. Can't help it, the rest of the team sucks. Sam, that album's been out for like a year. What's wrong with you, Sam? That's very disappointing, Samuel. Alright, good. Get me off the penalty kill. I don't want to be on the penalty kill. Like how the T is capitalized and don't. Here we go, regular season. I better have made the team. I was the best player of the preseason. Yes, thank you. Second line? That's fine. Who am I on the second line with? Does this line suck? I got dropped. Even though my preseason was great, they just dropped me to the second line. It's bullshit. Should punch the coach in the face. Latrell Sprewell on his ass. Look how happy he is. Alright, who's on this line with me here? I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. Feelings. McCann. Oh, I got Sad. Okay. It's not bad. Our team's trash, though. Just a bunch of 80 overall guys. No one over an 85. I don't think our defense is good either. Giordano. So we have one player over an 85. Our goaltender's not over an 85. Not great. Not great. Team kind of sucks. But here we go. Regular season time against Vegas.
How about some of these other storylines about these
That's
prospective
fair,
rookies
but
that are going to
at the
crack
same
the
time,
roster? And I look at the one here where, boy, for all the hype, I thought he was going to go back to junior. He's going to likely
play 5 games, get 2 goals, 2 assists, 5 hits.
I'll tell you what impressed me the most, I knew he could contribute offensively, but it's his two-way
5 games, 2 goals, 2 assists,
way more
5 hits. So
complete
either way,
package than I
just
think
whether
a
I
lot
want
of
teammates
scouts realize.
or brand
And I'll tell you what, I'm included in that one as
Everything
well.
else is
Been
the same,
very
looks
pleased
like.
with what he's done.
We will go
Elsewhere
with
around the league, you look at some of the other
the teammate
potential goals.
likability. All right,
All
5
right,
games,
I want
2
to bring
goals,
it back to the
2
rookie
assists,
here
5
for a
hits.
second.
Doesn't seem like
I
it's
know there's a
huge.
lot of hype and a lot of buzz, and we've seen kind of mixed reviews with a lot of freshmen breaking into the league over the last few years, right? I mean, you look at some of these guys with the hype trying to make that jump, and they're kind of underwhelming debuts. Some set the league on fire. Look, I really think they've got a chance to see and have something
5
special
years?
with this
Jesus.
kid. I really
How
like
loyal
where
am
his
I?
game's at, but I would also say this. Let's not panic if he gets off to a slow start, right?
So,
it's his
either
first
way, it's
year
just
in the
what
greatest
I'm doing.
league on the planet
All right.
in the sport of hockey, right? So let's just maybe
guess I gotta be on the
temper our
Kraken for 5
expectations. If he
years.
doesn't have 50
We shall
goals
see if
in the
that
first
happens.
20 games,
We shall see.
let's not write him off as a bust. But I am very confident that they have got a special player in this young man. He's a forward. I think he is born to score goals, and he will find a way to light the net very quickly in this league. A lot of people jumping in on the text line here, weighing in with their thoughts.
What's the impact for me? What do I get? Sure. No, you know what? No cameras. I'll give some money. I'm about to be broke, but shall see. Look, the Olivia Rodrigo album is very good, and I listened to that a lot when it came out. You still had time to listen to the Taylor album. So what do you expect from this game? I think I'm going to dominate. Yeah, y'all don't know who the fuck I am? I don't care if my teammates like me. Oh man, I got a promise to win. Dude, our team sucks. Alright, fuck it. We're gonna win. We're gonna win this game. Favorite off Olivia's record.
So intrigued
I'd have
see
to
how things play out for this young
think
rookie
of the
with his
tracks, but I
first
do.
game in the NHL,
Because I haven't listened
just
to it in
how
a
he
bit.
responds, right?
I like
you know he's messaged
Brutal.
everybody, every single
I
contact
still like
that he's
Driver's
got in his phone
License.
book. He has probably texted or called.
Deja
and
Vu.
ready
I
to
like
roll.
Deja Vu as well. It's a
Now
good.
you
It's a
see
good
how he
album.
rolls
Like
in this sort of
there's no real
situation,
skips on
right?
that
A lot of
album.
anticipation. Think about anybody's first job, your first day on
There
the
you go,
job,
Drew.
right?
The show
And I think
was
even when I
great.
was flipping burgers as a kid, my first day going in with the uniform, I had the butterflies. That's flipping burgers. I mean,
What is
this
this?
kid's going on the ice in front of 20,000 people. How's he going to roll with that? Can't wait to see how it all plays out. We'll check in on the phone lines as well. I think a lot of...
I don't want to be traded. Okay, in conversation. No reason to trade me. I said I was gonna be in Seattle for. What up, Jedi Jack? How you doing, buddy? All right, let me call Steven Jensen. He's gonna probably talk some shit as I play this game. Let's call Jensen right fast. 1 second, everybody. Steven Jensen.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes. You're coming through like your headphones, though, I think.
Oh, just 1 second.
Okay. add your.
Do I sound a lot better now?
Yes. Everyone just heard you echo. But that's okay. I fixed that. How are you,
Jensen? On the
Jensen?
Twitch stream, so now I'm seeing. I saw. Okay, there we go. I'm doing good, man. Yeah, dude, I did the Windows. I've been talking about it for like 2 weeks now. I did the Windows update, and it screwed up all my audio and sound settings for every single app. Like,
Joel was telling me about that because when I just shared my screen with you, by the way.
Oh, appreciate it.
That way you can watch me play the hockey here. We just started the regular season. Joel was telling me about that because I updated my XSplit yesterday, and like they moved stuff around, and I updated my iOS on my phone, and like that's completely different. And I was getting very pissed about it, and he was telling me that you updated your Windows and was getting pissed about it. Why did they do this with these updates? Just like keep it the same.
It had to have been a mistake. Like, I don't know why. Like, because it's literally every app. Like my Zoom, Skype, StreamYard, everything that I use. It doesn't save any of it either. Like every time I've had to use Skype since then, I've had to change. Like what just happened when I came on here just now, the same thing keeps happening where like it's just like a random microphone, or it's like hearing through another speaker that I have in my office or something. It's like it makes no sense. And it doesn't just save however I have it set up right now that it works. Like I'm gonna have to keep changing it until they either like update it or fix it or something. But I wish I wouldn't have done the update. Like normally I wait really long. Like I'm the kind of person that won't buy a new iPhone like right away because of all the bugs and stuff. But I put off updates for so long on my software that I just assumed that like, because I kept getting notifications like, hey, update your Windows, update your Windows. I just finally hit the update and restart button on my computer, and I didn't know that like it just came out. So like I think that's part of the problem. There's probably got some bugs and stuff they're working out. But anyway, that's all. Like no one cares about any of that. How you doing, man? Like you having a good day? We getting ready to watch some AEW tonight?
I am well. I'm looking forward to AEW tonight. It's gonna be a long night. The show's on until midnight. We're doing the post show, and then I got to do media scrum work and everything. Right. But as far as like the actual show goes, there's always such an adrenaline rush when it comes to the AEW shows compared to every other company that wants to run these late night shows. So I'm looking forward to it. This is probably their best built card that they've had all year. Like All Out was something else that was an all-timer, but I didn't find the build to a lot of that stuff to be like great. It was obviously an all-timer because of the debuts and everything. But as far as build goes, I was only interested in like a handful of those matches. This one, like up and down the card, every match they've built pretty well. Even if I haven't been like thrilled with some of the stuff, like and some of it's been like simplistic or like Ty and Britt, like they probably could have done better there and left out some of the source material on that. But at least they've been giving it some time. That all the other matches, like it's been incredibly built, and like every match should deliver. I'm excited, dude. I'm real excited. How about you?
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. I'm super excited. Even the stuff like one of the best built matches in most people's opinions is Kingston and Punk, and that was like a 3-week build.
Yeah.
And like they just nailed it. You know what I mean? Like yeah, man. Like I think the show stealer tonight that not enough people are like buzzing about, I think is going to be Darby versus MJF. I think that match is going to be awesome. And like those guys are going to be looking to show out because like you've got guys like Punk and Danielson and Miro and Christian and like Jericho and all these like really established wrestlers on the show. And those guys, I think, are going to be out to prove a point that like they're also main eventers with those big names. So like, I'm really looking forward to that one. And like Miro and Danielson looks like it's going to be awesome. And I legitimately don't know who's going to win that. Like they could really go either way there. And with most of these matches, that's part of it too with AEW. Like, regardless of who wins all these, like I'm fine with anyone winning or losing any of these matches, and I know they're going to be protected even if they lose. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to look forward to. There's really nothing about the show that like you're dreading happening.
Yeah, 100%. And Darby and MJF is one where I think it'll be good because both guys are good. I am worried there's a little styles clash there, just in how they wrestle. Like I'm not getting my hopes too high for that, and that way there's no That way I won't be disappointed if I end up being correct and like they just don't have the chemistry that they potentially might not have. But they're both excellent. And Darby is one of those guys that just always surprises me in how he wrestles, because you think of him as like the daredevil guy, but Punk, like, he was able to slow things down with Punk, and MJF sort of wrestles that same a little bit more methodical style. So I'm probably worried about it for no reason. I'm just a little bit, I'm a little hesitant on being like, okay, this match is going to absolutely be a banger.
Yeah, I think they're gonna just find a way. You know what I mean? Like, both guys are so hungry and young, like that. I think they're gonna really show out. And then also you have like the added element of, you know, does Wardlow? I doubt he turns tonight, but like the seeds are there to, like, you know, you don't really know what's going on with Wardlow. And then you have Sting on the other side, and like all their like kind of followers and whatnot, these like random people that are, you know, rocking the Sting mask like you do, Jeremy, and stuff like that. But like, you know what I mean? Like, there's added stuff too, to where even if they don't mesh like super great in the ring, which I think that they will, but even if they don't, I think there's still going to be some pretty cool like story elements to it when it comes to Wardlow and Sting also.
Right. So what I kind of predicted on the distraction is, and Joseph led me to this a little bit, but I think that, oh, what a shitty pass that was. Fuck. I think that MJF gets the victory because Darby just he does what MJF sort of expects him to do, and that's just go for broke, and it costs him. And then after that, so MJF wins. It leads to the tag team match, Wardlow and MJF against Sting and Darby. Sting and Darby win that because Sting kind of like is able to talk to Darby in that match a little bit and be like, hey, maybe don't do that. Like, you know, he becomes Father Sting in that match. Of course. And then MJF sort of like blames Wardlow. That kind of leads to the big blow up between them. That's my sort of prediction pitch on things. We will see if that's where they go. But there are a lot of different elements. Joseph also thought that one potential option was like MJF does expect Darby to do all this dumb shit and cost him, and Darby just doesn't. He just like wrestles straight and just beats him. And then MJF is like thrown off guard, and he still blames everybody else except himself because that's just MJF. And that still leads to the split because they're doing this Wardlow split at some point. It's just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I like all those ideas, by the way. I love the idea of the tag match. I mean, Sting, people can say what they want to about Sting and stuff. He's killing it in AEW when he wrestles.
He rules so much. He's so great. That pass went to absolutely the wrong person.
But yeah, I love what Sting is doing. Since he's joined AEW, I've loved everything he's done. And I was one of the people that before Sting ever was in AEW, I was like, if they ever got Sting, I'd put him and Darby together. Like, yeah. And I wasn't alone with that. Like, a lot of people were thinking that, but then they actually did it, and like it's worked really well in my opinion. The Wardlow split, like you said, that's definitely coming. It has some serious like Batista Triple H vibes.
Yeah.
But like that's not a bad thing because that turn was like incredible also. It's just a matter of like, will MJF turn on Wardlow or will Wardlow turn on MJF? But regardless, we'll wind up in the same spot. And that's gonna be because like Wardlow shows a lot of potential too. Like he could be a main event guy for them sooner than later. We just haven't seen a ton of him, but I think that's been really smart how they've done that. Like, I was there live in Atlanta when he wrestled Cody in the cage, and that was the first time I think I've ever seen him wrestle. And I was like, damn, this is the first time I've seen this guy. Like, he's only going to keep getting better. And, like, I was thinking, like, a couple years from now, he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of approaching that couple years from now, you know what I mean? So, like, or it's only been, like, a year or so since then, or a year and a half. But the point is, like, they got so much stuff lined up, and they're so good about long-term storytelling and sticking to it that, like, you know that this has been planned. Like, they've probably had the plan for Wardlow's turn and how they're going to do it with MJF for, like, you know, they probably had it set for the last 2 years on, like, how they're going to do this. So, like, it's just a matter of, like, slow burning it until it happens.
Maggie, that's on Joel Pearl. I imagine Joel will send the link to the regulars at some point once he gets set up. So I'm sure you're invited, Maggie. I'm sure you're invited. What up, JR?
I didn't get the link yet either. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I can always just jump in because I have the info, but I'll be watching. I'll be watching some buddies over here. I might jump in if we get like a little bit of a. But this is another thing about AEW and their pay-per-views.
Let's
like,
go.
they're so good that even my friends that aren't like that into wrestling, like they want to come hang out and watch AEW pay-per-views because every time I've showed them AEW, they've enjoyed it, and like they like just hanging out and drinking beer, and you know what I mean, like just
Right.
like I can actually hang out with my friends and watch this. I can't invite them over for Raw. Like I just look foolish. You know what I mean?
Nobody wants to come over for Raw. You would have no friends if you invited them over for Raw.
I know, that's how I lost a lot of my friends throughout my life. Unfortunately, like people don't understand. Like anyone out there that thinks that I'm just like a, because I'm very pro AEW and everything, you know, for a lot of reasons, but not just them. I mean, like indie wrestling and GCW and a lot of companies outside the WWE. But people don't understand, like for like 30 years of my life, like I'm not even exaggerating, like close to 30 years of my life, I didn't take one Monday off from watching Raw. Like, I was a loyal, dedicated WWE fan for a long, long, long time. To the point where, like, it
got the assist on that one.
To the point where it, like, actually ruined some of my relationships. Like, there were girls that I would date that get, like, pissed off that I would never, like, no matter what, if there was anything going on a Monday night, I was watching Raw. I even had jobs that had, like, PM shifts back in the day. And if they scheduled me on a Monday, I'd just no-show work. Like, I tell them ahead of time, like, I'm not going to be here. Like, you can deal with it however you deal with it, but I'm watching Raw. Like, that's all I cared about was, you know, Raw. And in Nitro back in the day, like, Monday Night Wrestling. So, you know what I mean? People need to understand, like, they got me out of it. Like, and I was that loyal for that long. But throughout that, the same kind of stuff would happen. Like, I'd get my buddies into wrestling a little bit on Mondays, and then, like, something really lame would happen, and then like it just wouldn't get any better, and then like I mean I pretty much did lose friends and relationships over it. So like I know you were joking, and it is funny, but it's like one of those things where like I actually did lose friends over being a WWE fan, and I've like got some of those friends back through AEW, which is crazy.
No one should force their friends to go through Monday Night Raw. It's such a I heard it's getting like slightly better, but I also think it's just getting slightly better based on the WWE curve. Like I can't say that I really watch or pay attention. Like sometimes, like I'll be over at the girlfriend's house and like we'll have it on just because you know we're wrestling fans and we want to watch and check out, see what's going on and everything. But like I'm half in, half out of it. Like SmackDown last night, like I didn't really pay attention to what was going on. It seemed like it was fine, I guess. I don't know. It's such a bland product. There's no reason to get invested into it or anything. It's just whatever. Like that's why I'm so glad AEW has come along and they've given us a spark when it comes to wrestling. Jensen, I do want to ask you this because this is by the way, what up, JR? I do want to ask you this because this is a big talking point in wrestling and really everywhere. But
okay.
Eddie Kingston or CM Punk? Who are you going with here? Who do you think should win? Who do you think will win?
I think Punk should win. I think Punk will win. I'd prefer Kingston to win. But like the thing with Eddie Kingston in AEW is he's as long as he isn't always losing his big matches.
He is though. He is. I tweeted it. He's like 2-5 in singles matches since Full Gear last year. But this is the brilliant thing with Eddie Kingston is like no one gives a shit because he's not on TV looking stupid every week. Like he is winning like tag matches and stuff. So like that helps. But he's not looking stupid. And like his promo ability is second to none. So that's why hold on one second.
You're good.
Okay. Like his promo ability is so good because or he makes people care when he with his promos. So that's why like he can lose these matches, and then like he lost to Danielson in his last match, and now he's just gonna face CM Punk, and people are like, yeah, I'm fired up for this match, even though Eddie just lost to Danielson. And not only does he loses like fine, but like he's competitive in these matches. He's not looking silly and like, oh, here's a roll-up finish or some shit. Like he's competitive in the match. He got pretty much a visual win on Miro. Miro had to cheat. Danielson made him pass out and everything. Like he doesn't look dumb. in these bouts. So, like, that's why people still care. And obviously his promo ability is second to none. So I think that Punk is going to win. I've come around on Eddie, like, should win, because I think you could go a lot of places either way, whether Eddie wins or loses. It'll depend on, like, how it happens. I'm fine with either way. I just kind of want it to lead to Punk, like, transitioning to more full heel.
Yeah. So the thing with Kingston is, like I said, as long as he's not losing all of his big matches, and he does lose most of them, and he's gonna probably continue to lose most of them. Like the wins he has is like Archer. I know Archer got hurt, but didn't he beat him in like a match before that too? At some point, I know they've beaten each other before.
He lost to Archer. I think he lost to Archer earlier in the year, and then he beat him obviously in the tournament. I don't remember his other big, like, singles win, because so this is since Full Gear last year. He lost to Moxley, he lost to Danielson, he lost to Miro. There was he's 2-5. I don't remember the other. Let me look this up right fast, and then we'll play the third period.
I'm trying to remember also, because it was a big match. I just can't remember. I can't remember who it was against now either. Someone in the chat will know it.
Doesn't count. I'm not counting Shaq Evans, that's for sure. No offense. Like, this is only pay-per-view and, like, television, like TV television. Love you, Maggie. So I lost to Miro. Those tag team titles. Jesus, I gotta narrow this down even more.
I mean, him and Mox as a team got some big wins.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, he lost to Archer in the Lumberjack match. He lost to Pac. He did beat Archer in January. So he beat Archer in a singles match, lost to him in the Lumberjack match, and then beat him in the tournament. So his 2 wins are legitimately against Lance Archer. And Lance Archer is another one of those guys who's like, he's good, he's positioned fairly well, but he's not like top guy. But he's 2-5, and yeah, his 2 wins are against Lance Archer. But no one cares. Like, most people are most fired up about this CM Punk match with Eddie even over like Kenny and Hangman, because like just Eddie is just so good on the microphone, so good.
Yeah, he's the man, and like I said, I'd prefer if Eddie Kingston won the match. You know, it's just, I think it would do a lot of good for Kingston to win for like a lot of reasons. Obviously, like it would really elevate him even more. It'd put him on kind of a different level, and that kind of stuff. I just don't see them beating Punk, but I do think that, like you were saying before, the real money in CM Punk is him as a heel, and we're gonna get there. It's just they have to let. I unironically say to let it play out in AEW, like, because they actually have payoffs for long-term stories. So, like, I think that, like, that's going to be huge when he turns, but up until then, I think they're going to keep him pretty protected, because he is still a big star. But I will also say this, and I think a big reason why this match is so intriguing for so many people is because of the legitimate backstory of their history in Ring of Honor, and like where Punk was in his career then, and where Kingston was, and now where they are now, and all that stuff. And he didn't go there on TV, but I was waiting for Eddie Kingston to be like, bro, you want to talk about fighting me? We've seen what it looks like when you fight people for real. Like, I was like, I'm waiting for someone to bring up his UFC career. Now, granted, Punk's going to have, you know, a bullet in the chamber ready to go, because he's going to basically, I'm sure he'll just say, well, I had the balls to fight for real and you never did, kind of thing. But my point in saying all this is, if it came down to it and things got real between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, I think Eddie Kingston would beat CM Punk's ass in a real fight. And that's coming from, that's somebody who's trained for like 5 to 6 years or whatever in MMA. I think Kingston would still beat his ass. So like, it makes for a lot of interesting elements. Like, do I think they're going to be unprofessional and it's going to come to that? No. But I also feel like if these guys actually hate each other and someone throws some potatoes in there, like, it could be really interesting to see how that plays out.
So here's the thing. There's obviously some real life elements to them disliking each other and whatnot. But when Punk came in and Eddie did interviews and he was asked about it, he was 100% complimentary of like, Oh yeah, I'm glad Punk's here. Like I saw him backstage, like you could just tell he was happy to be here. He was happy to be back in wrestling. Like he looked vibrant again and everything. Like Eddie said it. Louis Dangor, who we can't stand, but he does good work.
I like Louis.
Terrible at Twitter, good at interviews.
I have to always keep in mind because me and you are both early 30s. Sean's mid 30s. Like he's like 19. He's just got a totally different view of it than we do. You know what I mean?
He's still shitty at Twitter. He's still.
I like the guy. I'm not gonna talk shit. Good for you, man. Good for you doing what you're doing at 19. I wasn't anywhere near. Dude. The things I was doing when I was 19. Geez.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
But Louis did an interview with Eddie, and he said like, you know, everyone knows like I'm gonna do business. No one's worried that, you know, with what I say, I'm not gonna bury anybody. No one's worried about anything like that. Like they know I'm gonna do business, and that's a thing with Eddie. Like he'll bring the real elements out there, but he's not out there to hurt anybody because Eddie knows, Eddie gets it that like if I bury this person and then they beat me or I beat them, then I look like shit. So there's no point in actually doing that. And you know, Eddie's gonna go out there and he does the Japan strong style stuff. He grew up on All Japan and whatnot, so he likes to get in those types of battles, and he will take the shots and he will give the shots back. And Punk is pretty similar, that he's not afraid to, you know, take a few and take some hits and get some hits. So okay, let's get this empty net goal. Let's go.
I need to put my shade down a little bit. I was getting nailed by. This is one of the occasions where I actually need my sunglasses in here right now. But yeah, no, I don't think that things will actually go sideways in the match between Punk and Kingston. I'm just saying if they did, then like I don't think like, you know, the whole, because they're really making it out to be like a fight tonight, right?
Yeah,
like
which is great. Like again, this is great. Like they've built it so well, but it does feel very much like a fight, and I'm for it. All for it.
Yeah.
First NHL goal, Steven Jensen, and it comes on a shitty empty net. But you know what? You get the goals however you can.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it would be incredible if Kingston won. Like, I would love to see it. I think CM Punk and Bryan Danielson are kind of paralleling each other in a lot of ways in AEW, but like it makes sense. And Danielson is having. I mean, Punk's had good matches. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he's actually done better than I expected him to when he came back. But I think Danielson's on a whole nother level, like in the ring. Danielson might be the best wrestler in the world right now, like in any company.
Danielson's the best of all time, in my opinion.
I wouldn't argue that. Like, you know, I personally think it's Chris Jericho, but I'm also like.
Wait a second. Mm-hmm. Chris Jericho?
I think Chris Jericho is the best wrestler of all time. Yeah. I'm serious. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree.
Steven Jensen, what number are you at?
Like, I'm drinking coffee. No, man, when you look at his overall career, and like, I'm also a long-time fan. Like, he was my dude since, you know, when I saw him on WCW Saturday Night. You know what I mean? Like, I was like always felt like he was gonna be like. He was gonna have greatness. I always saw it. And then, like, you know, to know what he did in ECW, WCW, WWF, New Japan, AEW, like, the fact that he's been able to stay relevant for this long and continue to have good matches and like important matches and all that stuff, I just don't think there's anyone that's ever really been like him before. But I also could say, you know, if someone were to say like Shawn Michaels, for instance. Once again, I wouldn't argue that at all. Like, Shawn Michaels is in my top 3 probably of all time. But like, he did it all in one company. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the fact that he had job security with the WWE for as long as he has, like, most people could only dream of having that kind of job security in wrestling. But like, he only proved it one place. Like, if I'd been able to see Shawn Michaels in like All Japan or New Japan or like anywhere else, like, or even WCW, like just to see what he did in other companies, I'd have him like higher up, I think. But you know what I mean? It's like, I can't fault him for being somewhere for so long, but I would have liked to see him do other things throughout his career too. And I think Jericho went out and like did that stuff. Danielson's in the same kind of boat as Jericho, and he's younger. And if he stays, like, I think, like, because that's another thing about Danielson that makes him so high on my list is his Ring of Honor career, his WWE career, what he's doing in AEW now, the fact that he wants to go to New Japan, like that just, it's bonus points for you when you're someone like that.
When Danielson does his G1 run next year, he's gonna 100% solidify. Look at this, first star of the game, dominated this game. He's going to 100% solidify himself as the GOAT. I think he's already there, but it's gonna be even further eye-opening. All right, here's my thing with Chris Jericho. I agree that like the longevity, the fact that he's done it in multiple companies, the fact that like he's a great promo too. I mean, now I can kind of leave his material, but throughout his career, been a very good promo, been involved in some very strong segment stuff. The in-ring is like sort of what's lacking for me. Like, what are your top 5 Chris Jericho matches?
It really depends. I mean, he's been around for so long. Like, I really like his match with Shawn at WrestleMania 19 a lot. And I think he should have won that match, by the way. That would have helped him in his career at that point. And Shawn didn't really need it. I'd say, I mean, there's various matches with like, I mean, but most of the matches I'm going to mention are going to be like WCW era, which might add to your point potentially that like he may have kind of peaked then, because like you would pick out like a match with like Jared or with like Guerrero or Rey Mysterio. In WWE, like, I mean, I thought he had a solid world title run when he like changed his character up. Not the undisputed era, not the undisputed title, but like the world title. Like I thought once again that was a lot of that was Shawn as well. New Japan, I've liked every match he's had in New Japan though, every single one of those. And they've been high profile. His matches with Kenny Omega I thought have been really, really good in particular as well. But what's the point? Like, are you in like comparison to like in other wrestlers' top matches?
No, not in comparison. Just like the top matches from Chris Jericho, because like he's had
like Benoit for like the Intercontinental title and like that kind of stuff too, of course, you know. And so I'd say most of his matches that stick out to me were when he was more like a mid-card wrestler in WCW and WWF. In his runs on top, I don't think were as good as his mid-card runs, which also might kind of lead to your argument as well.
Here's my thing with Jericho is like he's had very good matches. I don't think his list of classics is as high as you would want it to be for someone to be considered the GOAT. Like the ladder match against Benoit is great. The WrestleMania match against Michaels, like the matches in New Japan were good, but like I look at the Kenny Omega, I mean the match with Omega was very great. But like the match, you know, Kenny Omega's had like classics against Okada. And I just don't think Jericho's classic list is quite high enough. And that's why I have trouble. That's why I have a little bit of trouble saying he's best of all time. I do think if you want to factor in again longevity, you want to factor in promos and character and everything, I totally get the argument of Chris Jericho being the GOAT. If we're talking strictly in ring, then I don't think Jericho's there.
I completely agree with that. Completely. Like I don't think Chris Jericho is the best in-ring wrestler of all time. I think he's the best overall performer of all time.
That's completely fine. I can get that because longevity, doing it in multiple companies, being a top guy. I mean, I know he wasn't in WCW, but that was more on them that they just didn't elevate him. He was top guy in WWE. Like New Japan, he should get a lot of credit for the eyeballs he brought to New Japan with everything. Top guy in AEW. I've said this before. I don't think Jericho gets enough credit in AEW because, all right, the Elite came in, they were on board and everything. They did great. But as far as, you know, if Jericho does not join immediately, I don't know quite what the visibility is with the company because the Elite clearly had a following and everything. Chris Jericho was game-changing for that. And he's openly said it. He recruited guys like Moxley and FTR and a lot of these guys because they were unsure of like, all right, is this company for real and whatnot. And Jericho had relationships with a lot of these guys and he was able to recruit them. Like overall package, Chris Jericho's there. He's 100% there as far as what he's meant to multiple companies and everything he's done. Yeah, just in ring stuff. There's at least 10 guys I'm taking of like I'm watching this guy's matches over a Chris Jericho match.
Yeah, that's totally understandable, and I'd agree with all of that. And also when it comes to Jericho and AEW, especially at the beginning, another perfect example of the same friends I was just talking about. I brought them to that show in Atlanta with me. There was like 10 of us, and they hadn't really watched wrestling since like we were in college, so that would have been like 2006 to 2010. So it'd been like a decade since they'd really paid attention to wrestling. And I brought them to AEW, and they thought it was going to be just like a bunch of, they didn't know, they had no expectation for the show whatsoever. They just assumed it was probably going to be like the WWE shows I bring them to when, Raw's in town or whatever. And pretty much the first time that they really glowed, like I could tell like that they were getting into it, they were like, wait a second, Jericho came out. They're like, Jericho's in this? Like, this has to be real then. Like, this is a real wrestling company.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho. Like, and that's like the ultra casual viewer, dude. But even they were like, oh damn, if Jericho's here, like this is an actual real thing. And I think that was a lot of people had that mindset, and that's why I think it was so smart for Jericho to be their first AEW World Champion.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you're talking strictly in ring, yeah, I'd go like, I'd have to sit here and think, but like I'd definitely put Danielson and Shawn, probably Bret Hart as well. Definitely Bret Hart in the ring, but like I was always more of a Shawn than Bret guy, but like the older I get, the more I like Bret more than Shawn. Like it's like changed as I've gotten older. But as a kid, I love Shawn Michaels.
I will 100% cop to this. As a kid, I was definitely like more of a Shawn guy. I learned very quickly as I got older that Bret Hart was just better. But yeah, as a kid, like I like the flashiness of Shawn Michaels, like
he was edgy. He was out there doing like the the whole deal with
he was doing
stuff, and it was like, what's this guy doing?
He was doing cool shit. He was doing like the moonsaults and the top rope stuff, and he was flamboyant and charismatic and everything. Bret just very solid, great technical wrestler. As a kid, I'm like, all right, I don't like it's cool, but the appeal wasn't as there to me as much as a kid. Now, looking back and understanding the business a little bit more, I'm like, okay, yeah, I still like Shawn Michaels matches. Like, don't get me wrong on this. I still think he has some classic matches, but I will watch more Bret Hart stuff nowadays. Where does Edge rank among the greats? Behind Christian.
Nice. I'd put him behind Jericho personally, but I think Edge is like.
I'm not huge on Edge. I'm not big on Edge.
Yeah, he's had some really good. He's had a great career, obviously, but like, he was kind of like. This isn't anything against him, but they didn't really pull the trigger on him until like they really had almost run completely out of options. You know what I mean? Like, Angle was gone, and Cena was like the only guy on top, and like they hadn't made Punk at all yet, and they needed rivals for Cena basically, and that's when Edge pivoted to the Rated R Superstar stuff, and that like really brought him to the next level. But I don't think his like in ring was as much fun to watch as the Rated R Superstar as it was when he was like in Edge and Christian, and when he was like IC level type, IC title level type guy. But then like other guys I'd put up there in the conversation just for what it's worth for like best. I think Rey Mysterio is one of the best wrestlers ever.
Yes.
I think Eddie Guerrero is way up there. It sucks that Eddie died so young.
Yeah.
For a lot of, obviously for a lot of reasons, a lot more reasons than just his in-ring wrestling, of course. But like, as a fan of wrestling, imagine where he'd be on this list if he was around for another, 10 years or whatever in the ring. Like he'd probably be undisputably like the best ever. Like he was so damn good. Benoit's way up there too. You just can't really put him in the conversation for obvious reasons. Who else would you have on there? There's New Japan guys too. Like you could definitely put Okada in the conversation, and Kenny. I think Kenny might be one of the best ever. And AJ Styles, I put AJ up there.
Yes, AJ is definitely a guy that I put up there. I've grown to appreciate Kenny a lot more in AEW because he's brought out a lot more of the character stuff. Because that was always like my trepidation with Kenny. Is like I will never knock his matches. Matches great. Sometimes I would think like a little too long and whatnot. But
too many B triggers.
No, never too many B triggers. Like I'll never knock his matches or anything like that. But I was always wondering, like my brain works very much of U.S. TV wrestling. Like that's how my brain works. Of like, can this guy succeed on U.S. TV wrestling? And this is why I have trouble with like the New Japan. I'll never knock Okada, Ibushi, and Tanahashi. Tanahashi is one of my all-time favorites. But I do like, could they be a weekly television character? That's always why I would have trouble. In ring wise, I'll put them up there all day. That's why I always have trouble when I talk about like overall GOAT conversations. I have trouble with them because my brain just works U.S. television wrestling. Kenny, I've just grown to appreciate so much more in AEW because he's done that character shit since AEW. Like he's there every week doing good work with that stuff. I think he's become a very good promo, and like he's like his work as a heel over the past year since he's won the title and even before that has been exceptional. And in ring wise, like I've grown even further appreciation because it's not just, hey, let me work a 30-minute New Japan style match. It's like, all right, I got to do a television match. I do more tag team matches. I do shorter matches. He's done the hardcore matches this year. So I've grown a lot of appreciation for Kenny Omega as an overall performer since AEW. And in ring work, I always had a lot of respect for him. But I think he's up there. AJ's certainly up there. I wish, much like Danielson, the handcuffs could come off of him a little bit, because I think AJ, you put him in AEW, I think he reminds people of just how good he is. Because I think AJ is just now, we forget, because he's doing tag matches with Omos. He's just a lot of going through the motion stuff and whatnot. Like you put him in AEW and allow him. I know he's older and everything, but you allow him to be AJ Styles again. I think he reminds you of just how good he truly is.
Dude, absolutely. Like AJ's just kind of, I mean, once again, I'm so disconnected from the WWE product, but like based on what you said and the little bit I know of what's going on, it seems like he's just kind of a part of the system at this point.
100%.
Like he's just another guy. But at least they keep him highlighted. Like they keep him involved in things that matter, it seems like. But like that he's honestly my number one of, if there was anybody outside of AEW that I could get in AEW, even if it's just for a short term, 6 months, a year, hopefully longer, but even just one match. Like AJ is the number one person that's not in AEW that I want to see in AEW. Because like I've said so many times, had he not resigned with the WWE, I'm not saying that was a bad decision, you know what I mean? Like he's doing what he needs to for his family and all that stuff, and he's probably really comfortable there, and he's probably making really damn good money. But if he would have not resigned whenever he did, he would have been an EVP in AEW with those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'd be an integral part of that company because AEW is AJ Styles' home, whether people understand that or not. Like that, he's never worked for AEW, but he's everything that AEW is about, and he was AEW before any of this was even a thought. Like him and TNA was basically, you know, that was always the thing, was like AJ's the best wrestler in the world, but like unless you pay attention to TNA, like you don't know what's happening. And man, if he could have been in AEW from the start. But once again, if they could even just get him for, because I know he's getting older, but he doesn't seem to have any signs of slowing down. And if he can stay healthy and he wants to wrestle for like, you know, a couple more years after he's done with the WWE, man, that would just be absolutely incredible. I would love to see AJ Styles in AEW.
I mean, AJ could remind people if they give him a big singles run, like if they allow him to do those matches, like they did when he came in, like and he was a champion and everything. Like the matches against like Roman were excellent. The Nakamura matches were disappointing. I don't like fully put that
in
on.
in the WWE.
Yeah. Obviously,
the New Japan match was great.
Yeah, obviously the New Japan shit was great. The WWE matches, the Last Man Standing match was good, but like, that.
I was at the WrestleMania one.
Yeah, the WrestleMania match was so disappointing.
Yeah.
It killed Joseph's love for the business. But yeah,
that's what did it finally.
I think that if. I think that if he got the handcuffs off of him a little bit, or was allowed to do some single stuff, he'd remind people, like much like Danielson. Danielson was just Danielson and AJ had that match in front of nobody that was excellent during the pandemic era, and like that's the kind of stuff where you're like, oh yeah, AJ Styles still really good, and now I think AJ can still be that good. This tag stuff just ain't gonna. No one's gonna really recognize that. People are mentioning Steen, of like, oh yeah, get the handcuffs off of him. Watch how good he is in AEW. I'm not putting Steen on the level of an AJ Styles, but yeah, 100%. And I think once Gargano's a big one for me, because I think if he does end up in AEW when he gets kind of the handcuffs, people are gonna see Takeover Gargano again, and it's gonna be something. Like Balor's another one, because WWE, like if you look at his main roster shit, it's like, all right, what's so great about this guy? His NXT run earlier this year, some of my favorite matches of the year. Like his battles with O'Reilly were excellent, and people just forget this stuff because like he's on the main roster doing goofy shit or not wrestling at all.
Yeah, I agree with all of this. When it comes to AJ, he's basically just being positioned to help put over Omos when Omos is ready for a singles run. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like pretty much it, I'm assuming. I mean, it's like that's setting Omos up for success, because there's literally nobody better that he could wrestle that's going to make him look good. And then it's going to be on Omos to like take it from there, or the WWE to figure out how to screw it all up. But like, yeah, I totally agree with Balor. He's obviously another guy I'd love to see in AEW for like the obvious reasons and the ties he has to those guys over there. That'd be sick. I'm not a huge Gargano fan, surprisingly. I think he's really solid in the ring, and I think his takeover matches, some of them are fantastic. Like his matches with Ciampa, of course, and his match with Andrade for the title.
I still think the Andrade match is still something special.
Yeah, and that was also like that. They like really kind of overperformed in that one, because I remember at that time, like his takeovers were so can't miss that, I felt like at the time that match happened, Andrade and Gargano like weren't over to the same kind of like levels as some of the guys before them when it came to NXT, like because you had like Owens and Zayn and Neville and all this other stuff, and then of course like Nakamura and Joe and all this like big stuff, and Andrade kind of became the champion kind of almost out of nowhere when he beat McIntyre for it, but then I'd say about halfway through Andrade versus Gargano, I remember like staring at my screen and being like, this is incredible. Like I was like, this is one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. And then like it just kept getting better and better. And I think that's like probably the most underrated match in NXT history. Like, because I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. But my point with Gargano is I think as a character he comes off incredibly goofy to me.
Well,
like just a total dweeb. But if you just keep him just in the ring and he just goes out there and has banger matches, he could definitely do that in AEW. There's plenty of opponents for him that they would have awesome matches. So and then like O'Reilly, you mentioned him too.
Oh, he's gonna be great in AEW. I can't wait.
Yeah, he's my favorite guy, probably currently signed to the WWE system right now. O'Reilly, him and Steen, but it's pretty obvious that Steen's leaving. And then it's pretty obvious O'Reilly's leaving too.
Yeah, I think it's more obvious that O'Reilly's gone. I'm fairly confident Steen is gone. I think O'Reilly is just biding his time at this point, because Von Wagner, I guess, was on SmackDown last night, so the writing appears to be very on the wall for Kyle O'Reilly. And look, he's not blind. He sees Cole and Fish. He sees them in AEW. He sees what's going on. He knows he comes there. He's got immediate built-in stuff right there for him. You had Red Dragon for that tag division. Ooh.
And the whole Adam Cole story of who does he side with.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion that, because O'Reilly's got to see the writing on the wall. Like, I mean, all these guys do. Like, you see how you're treated if you wind up on Raw or SmackDown, and then you look at AEW and watch all your friends having the time of their lives. Like, I feel like it's an easy decision to make. But outside of like the money, which I don't know, that I'm sure plays a factor. But AEW seems to, I mean, I'd imagine AEW is paying a lot of them roughly what they're making the WWE anyways. Some of them more. So, and then a lot of them sometimes it doesn't come down to money. It's just like being happy with where you're working and like enjoying your art and stuff and like being able to really be a pro wrestler again. Because that's the thing with the WWE that I don't think people quite like realize when like I get so like down on it, is they're taking people who trained to be pro wrestlers and wanted to be pro wrestlers and want that boyhood dream moment of holding the WWF title like Shawn Michaels and the whole deal, and like that's what they grew up wanting to do. And now when they get to the WWE, they just try to turn them into like D-list actors and like have them be all goofy in these dumb stories that are for 5-year-olds. And it's like, once again, it's fine if you're going to market to kids, but I don't know if all of these adults want to be on a kids show.
Yeah.
And you basically have to stop being a pro wrestler. And that's what I think is so important about what Danielson is doing right now and all this stuff he's saying in his promos and stuff and video packages, where Danielson's making it really clear. Like, AEW is the place to be for professional wrestlers. Like, if you want to be a pro wrestler, that's the best place you can go. And, I just think we're going to see more and more of that happening. Pro wrestlers that grew up wanting to be pro wrestlers that don't want to be these weird actors anymore that kind of get to wrestle sometimes, but they never get to do the stuff they want to do.
Steven Jensen, first off, I agree with all your points. Did you see this offensive explosion that I've just led? We were down, and then I had one great assist on the backdoor pass. I drove the net, created another assist, and then just beat the goalie with a wrist shot glove side. I'm dominating this game. Steven Jensen went on this excellent rant, and then I just decided to get in on 3 quick goals, and now we're up 3-1. I just took over this game while Jensen was speaking there. Now I'm with you on all of those points. Like a lot of them, like Adam Cole is a very good example because Cole long said like my dream is WrestleMania. Like I want to headline WrestleMania. And he was in that system for a long time. He loved NXT and everything. And then he saw it as like, it doesn't look like this is really going to happen for me. So it appears I'm better off elsewhere. And if I never headline WrestleMania, that's okay because I'm at a place that, I can do sort of what I want to do. And I'm not fighting an uphill battle to maybe headline this WrestleMania event. Instead, I'll just come here and I'll just be on television every week and hang out with my friends and do great work and get paid well and continue my Twitch and everything. And yeah, Danielson, same thing. It's like Danielson been there, done that with WWE. It's like he found new life with AEW. And a lot of people see that. A lot of wrestlers see that. You're crazy if you don't think that they do. And that's why AEW is just going to continue to get some of these guys because it is seen, and there's still people who are going to hold out the dream. Like there's guys like Drew McIntyre, no offense to him, but he's pretty made in WWE, and he sees it as like, all right, I've been here, I've done that, I'm made. He's fine doing kind of all of this stuff. Sheamus, a lot of the guys who have just been there, they're fine.
Well, and
I think Damian Priest
also. I was going to say, and Drew also, when he got released the first time, like, he did the indie grind, and he's probably a lot more comfortable with where he's at now.
Right, and like, Sheamus is Sheamus, Damian Priest. I think a lot of these guys, they're happy just doing all this stuff. And there is a very real thing of, like, AEW cannot take all of these guys. They just can't. Like, Dominic Dijakovic is a guy where if he was in AEW, he'd probably thrive and everything. But what's he bringing to AEW where it's like, all right, this guy's going to be heavily pushed and everything. He might just be happy getting paid well in WWE, wrestling every now and again, being T-Bar, whatever, and he's just fine with that. And people are going to be that way. And that's completely fine. Whatever makes them happy, whatever they want to do. But for a lot of these guys who have been in WWE, especially the guys who came up on the indie system and everything, they're going to look at this and be like, all right, this is where I want to be. And that's why they kind of are moving to like just kind of an athlete type thing because it's just like, trying to create a rebound. Like if they haven't gone through the indie grind and stuff, they're just like, oh yeah, WWE gave me my break, they trained me, they did all this, and they've invested in me from the start. This is where I'm going to be. The guys who kind of came up through the indie system and everything, they see it a little bit different, especially with the direction WWE's going right now.
Well, 100%. And that's the thing with the direction of the company. And I think that's also why the WWE has been so, it's like liberal, maybe the right word, when it comes to just like letting go of really talented wrestlers, as many as they have been in recent years, because they aren't pro wrestling.
Gotta clean that up.
Gotta clean up the trash. Learn that in the Mighty Ducks. But there, because WWE isn't a wrestling company. It's a sports entertainment company that has some wrestling. And when you're like a Dolph Ziggler, for instance, like he's getting paid. He's one of the top 10 highest paid guys in the whole company, I believe. And a lot of it has to do with his tenure there, and he's gotten raises, and he's in this great position. And he's probably super comfortable with where he's at. He gets to do what he wants to do. All power to him. But at the same time, if I was the WWE, I might be going like, hey, this guy's primarily just like a really good in-ring worker for us, but we're also paying him more than like everyone else here. Like, why don't we just stop paying him this much? You know what I mean? Like, because this doesn't even like have anything to do with I'm not advocating to get rid of Dolph Ziggler, by the way. It's nothing like that. It's just from like a business perspective, when you're getting rid of guys like Bray Wyatt because he makes a lot of money, and Braun Strowman, not just because of this, but he did make a lot of money. Braun Strowman made a lot of money. There's a lot of these wrestlers that make a lot of money, and WWE's clearly trying to sell. Like, I don't think it's even a secret at this point that they're trying to sell the company. So like, what the WWE is doing is they're just going through and finding people that they don't. Like, let me put it this way. If the WWE were to sell to Disney, for instance, why would you need a roster, like a big roster of really talented in-ring wrestlers? You wouldn't. Because, like, your actual goal was to, like, get Omos on Scooby-Doo or whatever. Like your real thing is, like, Roman Reigns, teaming up with the Ninja Turtles or something. Like, that's... Which, as a kid, if I were to rule, right? Like if Sting would have teamed up with the Ninja Turtles back in like '95, I would have lost my mind. But once again, I was also 6 years old when I started watching WCW, so it's like that all makes sense. But my point is, why? Like, I think the WWE just doesn't care that they're losing all these good in-ring workers, because they're like, well, they'll go to AEW and they'll just keep wrestling, but like, we don't really care about the wrestling aspect anymore. What we care about is creating these characters that kids can get attached to, and then we can involve them in other kids' properties. So that's basically just where I think it's all heading, is like, why do you even need good in-ring wrestlers if you're the WWE? Because 90% of the show is them just doing bad acting, and then the other 10% is just like, they have some matches, but like, they don't really, you know what I mean? It's all the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So like, I understand the WWE, because a lot of people don't, would look at a lot of this stuff and be like, man, how could they lose Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Kevin Steen, and all these like great, how could they afford to lose these guys? And it's like, well, because they probably don't figure that Kyle O'Reilly is going to be, in the next, Netflix Undertaker Choose Your Own Adventure movie. You know what I mean? I think that's really what's more important to them at this point. So it's like, it's two completely different industries almost. Like, you have a pro wrestling company, you have like a straight up entertainment company at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, they said a long time ago, we're sports entertainment and stuff. Like, they have bigger aspirations than just being a wrestling company. And look, more power to them. They're making more money than ever. They do have all these deals and partnerships and stuff that they're happy with. I'm not worried about...
I was going to say, I have none of what I've said I even am saying as a... none of this is even like a dig at the WWE. Like, I think they're smart to do what they're doing from a business perspective. I'm just saying it boxes out people like us. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying WWE's wrong for any of this stuff, just for what it's worth.
The problem is, like, they box out people like us, and then so they're trying to just do entertainment stuff, but they're not even good at like that. So it's like they're not doing like great wrestling because they're not appealing to wrestling fans. So they're trying to appeal to like Netflix users and stuff. and it's like they're not even like people don't want to watch this as their form of entertainment when you can watch trashy actual reality television or Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or whatever, like actual good actual good like entertainment programs, episodic programming. That's just like, so they're appealing to they're trying to appeal to like multiple people, but in doing so they're actually lessening their fan base, and I think that's kind of being seen with the declining ratings of they're just it's not there. And AEW, this is where I think they're very smart, is it's like, okay, you're going after just a hardcore fan, like that can't last forever. It's like, yeah, but if you just appeal and you just stick with wrestling fans, then wrestling fans will continue to enjoy it, and then other fans of entertainment will be like, oh, hey, like they're actually doing some cool shit. I understand that it's pro wrestling, but they do give you, like they talk about all the time, they have the buffet, and they give you the buffet of a bunch of different stuff. You can appreciate the storytelling of a Hangman Page and Kenny Omega when it comes to that stuff. It's like, oh, this is actually just as compelling as any weekly episodic programming on Netflix or ABC or CBS or whatever it might be. And then, okay, it's pro wrestling on top of it, but, does that really matter if the wrestling is great and they're still telling a story in the middle of it? And I don't think it does. So they're appealing to a hardcore fan base, and by appealing to a hardcore fan base, instead of, alienating casual fans or pushing away entertainment fans, they're actually bringing those fans in because they're seeing, oh, this is actually good shit as well, instead of insulting my intelligence like WWE will do.
Yes, yeah, you're right on the money with all that stuff, man. Like, and something that I think people don't even think about or have a conversation about is, because this will happen at some point, and it's the probably not too distant future, AEW will start creating breakout mainstream stars. Their company's only been around for like 2.5 years, but like, what if someone like a Hangman Page like became super popular in wrestling and then broke out into like becoming popular in the mainstream, or a Jungle Boy or someone like that like began to transcend the business, and then people are going, oh, this guy's a wrestler, like, man, I haven't watched WWE in a while, I wonder what he's up to, and they're like, no, he's in AEW, not WWE. And then it's like, wait, what's AEW? And like that's how you get a lot of new fans also, is like once they have some breakout stars. And when it comes to like the whole alienating our section of the audience, I think at this point, because of the TV deals and the sponsorship money and the way that the WWE is set up as this worldwide conglomerate, like, I think that they're totally, I mean, the networks might not be happy, like USA and Fox, I'm not sure, but like, in general, I think the WWE is happy if they're making more money than ever, and they can just hold on to this like 1 million to 1.5 million people that watch Raw every week, because they figure there's always going to be a group of 5 to 13-year-olds or whatever. Like that will never end. You will always be able to get kids interested in this show up through a certain age, and there's a never-ending amount of those. And those kids have parents, so if they want to come to a show, they're selling at least 2 tickets because a guardian's got to go with them. They'll probably be friends. They'll probably buy merchandise or food while they're there and all this stuff. So like you can live off of that kind of business model. But the problem that they could run into, which they kind of are right now, is when you start alienating your hardcore longtime fan base, like me and so many others that just like don't watch the WWE anymore and have found other things to watch. Because the problem there is like, okay, you can be happy with what you're doing with like this current setup you have and kind of the never-ending children fans that you're going to have, but think about all the money and all the business you're leaving on the table when you cut out literally millions of people like me, who, like, the people that really spend money on wrestling, like the people who are willing to buy $50 pay-per-views every month, the people that are willing to buy merchandise for all their favorite wrestlers to support them, the people that go and buy beer at the venues and spend a lot of money when you go live, like that's our demographic that they don't have anymore. And AEW is literally building a completely new company off of our demographic. So like the WWE could be doing all of this, but they choose to just focus on like the children programming aspect basically, whereas AEW is going, hey, you're a lifelong fan, like you feel like WWE isn't for you anymore, like, we're going to give you exactly what you wanted as a fan. And they just do that. So now there's a lot of people that just have given up on the WWE and they only watch AEW or whatever. But that's, that's kind of how I look at it. Like WWE can do what they're doing and they're going to be able to do it forever. But they're leaving so much business on the table by just like completely excluding basically the 18 to 49 demo.
They 100% are, and they are appealing to kids, and I guess their hope is, those kids will grow up, they'll continue to be WWE fans and stuff, and like the thing is those kids are gonna grow up and probably get a little bit smarter and realize, hey, this was cool when I was a kid and big production and everything, but now it's not as cool because I realize there's a lot of stupid stuff on this show, and another company is doing big production and everything, and is more in line with how I think and how I feel about things. And like WWE's not going anywhere, obviously. They're gonna be around forever, but there's clear decline when it comes to like viewership and interest and everything. They're making money hand over fist. They're getting television deals. They're getting partnership deals and everything, but there's clear decline when it comes to interest. And the other thing about that is when those television deals are up in a couple of years, that's where a lot of things are going to change. Because if AEW is getting similar money to what WWE gets, or WWE is getting less money because AEW is around, then they're going to realize that their philosophy is not working. Because everyone thought, oh, AEW's here, this will light a fire under WWE and they'll be great. Like, AEW's been on television for just over 2 years now. WWE ain't changed much as far as their television. They tried to do different things. That they did everything they could that wasn't, hey, let's actually just make better stories and utilize everybody better. They did we're not going to do any wrestling during commercial breaks. Oh, the third hour is going to be a dim light 24/7 title. We're going to say shit and all of this stuff. Like, they tried to do everything they could that wasn't actually just, hey, let's just like do better stories and feature our wrestlers a little bit better. And I don't know if that's I don't think that's going to change. I really don't think that's going to change. I think they're just going to continue to stay whatever course that they've been on. But when those TV deals come up, they're going to realize, oh, hey, maybe we should try to actually do something different because we are now making less money off of these TV deals, and AEW is now cutting into our profit. And that's going to be the issue, is when AEW cuts into their profit, that's when they're going to be like, all right, we got to actually change something.
Do you know how long it is before they renegotiate TV deals?
It's not for a while, because I think it's up in 2024, maybe 2023.
I think they'll be sold. I think they'll be sold by then.
I'm not buying this. They're going to get sold. We're going to play one more game, everybody. I'm not buying that they're going, because Jensen and I are having good conversation here, and I don't want to cut it off. I'm not buying that they're going to be sold anytime soon. I really don't.
Why is that? Do you think Vince is too married to it, or?
Oh yeah, Joel Pearl. We are live and we're playing some hockey. I don't know if it's that. I just don't think that. I just don't think they're actually being sold. I think Tony Khan, Nick Khan is. I think he's doing this because this is what he kind of does. I don't think it's in preparation for any type of sale. I don't think as long as Vince is there, or Vince feels like he can still run things, that they're going to be sold. Or anything. Maybe they will be. Maybe I'm not reading the tea leaves as everybody else is, and they will be sold. I'm not fully buying it.
Yeah, but you also know, like, there's a lot of similarities between what this is looking like and what the UFC looks like right before they sold too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can see a lot of the writing on the wall. Like when the UFC, before they sold, or right around the time they sold, they started getting rid of guys that were contenders that cost a lot of money, that weren't champions. Like, they're like trying to free up money by, releasing people out of their contracts. A lot of the same kind of stuff. The thing with Nick Khan, to me, you don't hire Nick Khan unless you're looking to sell, and unless you're totally okay with losing Triple H. Because I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Because the other side of it too, when it comes to, like, you saying, as long as Vince can run it, I don't know if he'd ever step away. And just like the UFC sale, I mean, that sale was contingent on Dana White staying. He had to stay for like 7 years for them to accept the deal to take the sale, because they needed somebody to stay that was in charge, that like knew the business. They couldn't, WMEIMG couldn't just run it with like movie agents and stuff. They had to like, Dana White had to commit that he was going to be there for, I think it was at least 7 years. So I think the WWE would probably have to do the same kind of thing. They'd have to either leave Vince or Triple H or Nick Khan or somebody there to run the I don't think Nick Khan would be the best guy to run the company. The best guy to run the company would be Triple H, in my opinion. But I think there would probably be some sort of McMahon tie, unless whoever the seller is just has a totally different vision for the company. But my thing with Vince is, like, I know he's a control freak. I know he's never taken a day off of work, in 50 years, and he doesn't sleep at all, and like he still breathes this business and everything. But like, if you're looking at it from his perspective too, there's part of him that's got to be like, I don't have that much time left in the world. I've got granddaughters. I've got, if I sell this company for $10 billion or whatever, like, I'm setting up the future for my kids, my grandkids, their grandkids, and he doesn't have to work another day in his life. He can just enjoy the rest of his existence and know that his entire family's taken care of forever. You know what I mean? I think that's a pretty easy decision to make.
Yeah, but his entire family's taken care of now, because if he doesn't sell, it's still getting left to Shane and Stephanie, and if they want to sell, then they can. Like,
it's true.
I don't think that it's okay, I'm going to do this to take care of everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure it's getting left to the family anyway. So, if they want to sell it, they can. I know the similarities with UFC, and UFC was contingent on, all right, Dana White has to stick around. I think instead of just being like, all right, hey, I'm going to sell and I got to stick around, I think Vince is just going to be like, why do I need to sell? I'll just stick around, and then we'll just go from there. I don't think as long as Vince is here, they're selling. I really don't.
I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, it's hard to like. It's hard to imagine the WWE without Vince. Like, obvious, you know what I mean? Like, so it is a really hard thing to like think about, that possibility. I just feel like, man, that's hard to say no to $10 billion cash in your account. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, I don't know, especially when they make these kind of moves like with Nick Khan. Like I said, I don't think you hire a guy like that unless you're okay with a guy like Triple H, like, bailing or something, because like he's pretty much taken his job at this point, right? Like, I don't think, like, does Triple H have any power in the company left? Like,
it doesn't feel like it.
To some degree, but
does not feel like it.
And dude, I'm telling you, something happened like last Thanksgiving or something, where like Vince asked Triple H to pass the gravy. He told him to F off, and he's like, I'll show you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's probably something like super petty that they have some sort of disagreement about. And Vince just totally cut him out of the whole. Because I think NXT, like, this is just speculating, but I think a big thing with Triple H and what's happened with him is when AEW was formed. And I remember initially they put Evolve up against AEW.
Yeah.
And AEW whooped that ass. And then they were like, oh, okay, well, we're going to put NXT up against it, and we'll just end this before it gets started. Like, that, I think that they thought that was going to be, like, the death blow right off the bat. Like, oh, y'all are going to come with this new company on Wednesdays? We'll put NXT against it, and, like, we're just going to destroy you real quick, and that'll be the end of that. We'll just keep moving on with business. And then AEW kicked that ass, too. And now they're going, okay, so what's the point of NXT? Like, we can't beat AEW. None of the people that you're putting on the show, once we bring them to Raw or SmackDown, they change them, or they don't like them, or they get rid of them, or whatever. So, like, what's the point of spending all this money on this? Like, what's the point of this NXT UK brand? What's the point of this 205 Live brand? Like, what's the point of all these things that are just, like, losing us money? And, like, we can't outdraw our competition when we go head-to-head. So, like, Triple H probably just got blamed for a lot of that. And yeah. It wasn't his fault, by the way. I'm just saying, like, he's the one who probably took the blame. And now they're like, well, Paul, if that would have worked out, you'd be the one in charge of this whole company by now, but it didn't, so now we had to find somebody else. and enter Nick Khan, and now everyone's losing their jobs. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like these are the kind of moves you don't make unless you really don't care about where your company's heading, because you're not going to be around to deal with it. It's just kind of how I feel about it.
I get it, and again, you're not the first person to think that they're going to sell. That seems to be the consensus of why they're doing a lot of these moves. Yeah, I'm just not.
I know,
it's
hard to accept the idea of like them leaving. Like, trust me, dude. Because here's the thing: I could say all the negative stuff I want to about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is basically wrestling god. Like he is. Like, if I could meet Vince McMahon, like, he's probably number one of like people I could meet that I never have. That like that's like number one. Like, I have so much respect for Vince McMahon and what he did for professional wrestling, and like, if you're a Triple H or a Nick Khan's a bad example because he's so new to it, but like Triple H is the best example probably, or Stephanie or Shane, really. Shane and Triple H are probably the two best examples I can give for this. If you're a Triple H or a Shane and you have a different vision of what you think wrestling should be and the future of pro wrestling and all this stuff, like, how do you walk up to God and tell him he doesn't get it anymore? Like, you can't. Because Vince, he created what you're talking about. How are you gonna tell Vince he doesn't know what he's doing or what wrestling is? Like, Vince created this whole thing, but he's lost complete sense of like what the current 18 to 49 fan base wants out of pro wrestling. I legitimately, this is not a joke or me making fun. I legitimately think Vince McMahon sits at a dinner table with his 3 granddaughters and asks them what they like about TV. And then he's like, oh, if my granddaughters like it, I'm going to put it on Raw because other kids will like it.
Right.
Like, but Vince, look at Vince McMahon from like the 90s and look at Vince McMahon now.
Look, he's got the same people around him.
Yeah.
Like, he's still got John and Bruce and all these guys around him. So like, just the company hasn't evolved at all. And Triple H, like, he tried with NXT. I think he's going to get a lot of blame, fairly and unfairly, when it comes to NXT. It was the hot promotion because they were doing stuff that AEW was doing when it came to, let me give you these indie guys that you love and turning them into stars. Like that, peak NXT is still some great television. And then, they went up and AEW just did it better. It's like, oh, well, now we have a lot of these indie stars that you love, but we're in bigger arenas. And it feels more organic. It feels more natural. And so that's why they kicked the shit out of NXT. Triple H handed Vince a lot of stars. There's no reason Nakamura, Andrade, Alistair, there's no reason these guys should have come up and then just been fumbled like they were. Absolutely no reason. Triple H did as good as he could have with all of these guys. Like, Undisputed Era, they were ready. I've said it many times. I would have had them come out post-WrestleMania and kick the shit out of whoever the champion was. They gave them guys who were ready, and they just fumbled them all on the main roster. Triple H did some other shit that wasn't as good, and he could be blamed for that, but at the end of the day, like, Vince is going to make these decisions, and he's surrounded by just guys who have always been there with no new actual vision. I do think Triple H tried to do things, for the most part, the right way, and it could have worked, and it could have worked on the main roster, but the 3 hours of television was always going to hurt. And just Vince in general was always going to hurt because he's going to see it his way, and you're not going to be able to get around that. And as long as Vince has the guys that he trusts and are just stuck in whatever era they want to be in, nothing's really going to change.
Yeah, and the stuff with Triple H, it's so sad if you're him, because like you said, none of this stuff was his fault. Like, he went out there and he scouted and got top independent talent. He was even the one, like, he opened the forbidden door. Like, he had Jushin Liger come and wrestle Tyler Breeze from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, Triple H clearly, pretty much all the stuff we see AEW doing, Triple H was trying to do in NXT, and then, like you said, AEW came around and just did it better. But, I think a big reason people lost faith in NXT was because of them fumbling so many of the call-ups to Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, and again,
people stopped being interested.
Right. This is I don't fully blame Triple H for this. Is like, why should I get invested Jesus, that was a good pass. Why should I get invested in the likes of Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa or Adam Cole, Undisputed Era, or anybody they've called up in the last years? I know those guys weren't really called up, but why should I get invested in these guys when every other call-up you've delivered, you've taken away what has made them special or unique, or they're just another guy on the main roster? There's no reason to have any type of investment in this product when the goal, so we've been told, is, hey, you're going to get called up to the main roster, and then you get called up to the main roster, and you're completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was...
what should have been the case is you could have used NXT as an actual third brand of like, oh, hey, Dolph Ziggler has wrestled literally everyone on these shows. Let me send him to NXT and let him just have... And they did this for a while. Like, this is how Cesaro kind of got hot.
Exactly.
Again.
Him and Sami Zayn having matches against each other, yeah.
And Tyson Kidd and stuff. Like,
good call,
this is how they got hot again. It's like, hey, let's just send him here, let him do some matches. Breeze felt fresh again after this stuff. Let him come down to NXT and work on stuff, and you just actually use it like a third brand, and you just almost do a territory so you can keep guys fresh and do fresh matches and fresh stories and whatnot. But they never did that, and what can you do? I've always said that an actual sports style presentation would work well, of like, hey, these are actual like teams, because they tried to preach brand supremacy and all this dumb shit that no one actually cares about. But like, if you actually do it of like teams and brands and owners and GMs, whatever you want to call it, like, you can do something with that concept. They'll lean into it as much as they want to, which is the draft, and then and then when they need an excuse of like, oh, expiring contract, oh, it was kind of sort of a trade, and then they'll really just never mention it again. And it's another failure of just they're just lazy. That's really what it comes down to. They are just fucking lazy.
Yeah, they're content, I think, for the most part, but just kind of how things are going and the money that they make. And like, I think that what they were trying to do for a minute there was what the UFC was doing, where they were trying to expand and have like a performance center in like China and Mexico and all these different all these different countries, like what the UFC does with their performance.
Yes, they were 100% trying to do that. They wanted NXT, like they did UK. They were trying to do Mexico and Japan and all this stuff. They 100% just wanted to just basically have a territory in every single country. And, maybe it would have worked to some extent had the pandemic not happened or whatnot and AEW not come along. Like, I don't know. But that was obviously their big local globalization, I think is what they called it. That was their big plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure the pandemic, like, that obviously didn't help. I'm sure it hurt a lot of their kind of plans for that. But I think on top of it, too, someone like Nick Khan probably came in and was like, why are we spending so much money on this and this and this? Like, just looking at the numbers and being like, how much money are we spending in China? Like, how many Chinese wrestlers do we have on the roster right now? And they probably look and they're like maybe a handful, like, total on any brand signed. And it's like, and he's like, well, why are we spending so much money to scout China if we don't have any Chinese wrestlers? It doesn't make any sense. And like, so they're probably just going and just cutting costs wherever they can in those senses. And JJ said in the chat, Luke Owen has a video of, is Vince McMahon good? I wonder if I haven't seen the video, but I will say this. Like, I know Vince McMahon, I just called him, the god of pro wrestling and all this stuff. And I got to give him, obviously, a ton of credit for where wrestling's at. I got to give him the most credit of anyone for wrestling's at. But when you really look at it, I've said this on podcasts before, when you really look at Vince McMahon's overall career as, the owner, promoter of WWF, like, when you really think about it, like, go back to Hulk Hogan in the beginning of WrestleMania. Like, Vince McMahon, he's the one who took the big gamble financially to put on WrestleMania 1. If that wouldn't have worked, the classic story is that it was either the event was going to be a success or they were going to go out of business completely, and Vince was probably going to go bankrupt in the process. Like, everything was on the line for WrestleMania 1. The big attraction for WrestleMania 1 was Hulk Hogan, who was already an established star through the AWA prior to the WWE, but became a way bigger star, way bigger household name with the WWF. But I think Hulk Hogan is, like, pretty much just as important to the success of WrestleMania 1 as Vince McMahon is. Like, it's pretty hand in hand. But then you fast forward to the early 90s, and they don't have any competition, really. Like, WCW hasn't taken off. It's still, like, Crockett Promotions or whatever. And you have early 90s wrestling, and you have WWF. And Vince McMahon's vision was, like, the dumpster Drosy and clowns like Doink, and like his vision was very PG. It was very like these the goon, you know, all these people, Isaac Yankem and all this stuff. Like that was Vince's vision of wrestling in the early 90s, and business sucked. Like people don't understand how bad business was for the WWF in the early 90s. And then the mid-90s come around, and NWO takes off, ECW takes off, all this stuff. And all of a sudden, now Vince is doing DX, which was basically a ripoff of the NWO. You had them taking the ECW, which was basically the Attitude Era before they called it the Attitude Era. He's just taking other people's good ideas and, like, putting them on WWF. Then you get to, like, the lull period of right after that. Like, when all the competition's gone, and then once again it's like John Cena and Snitsky and Heidenreich and like all these kind of guys that weren't any good. But once again, that's Vince getting back to his vision with no competition. So like, and then right now I think it's the same kind of thing. Like you had a little while there where they kind of turned it up when they introduced NXT. They honey-dipped all the fans like me who had a foot out of being a fan, but we were like, well, I'm going to stick around because, like, NXT rules, and if they're going to keep getting guys like this, I'm going to stick around because Raw and SmackDown have to get better if they're going to be getting these indie stars through NXT, and they're going to move on.
Honey-dicked?
Yeah, honey-dicked. Yeah, a giant tease. Like, I was about to stop watching the WWF or WWE in like 2013 or whatever, but all of a sudden all my favorite indie wrestlers are getting signed. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep watching Raw and SmackDown because like eventually all these guys are going to wind up on Raw and SmackDown, so it's going to be worth watching still. But now it's the same kind of thing. And so it's kind of to the point of like them saying, is Vince McMahon actually good? I think Vince McMahon is a really, really, really good. It's Joe Rogan talked about with Carlos Mencia years ago. I think Vince McMahon is really, really, really good with other people's shit. Like, I think he's really damn good about taking things that are already really good and then being the one to expose them to the mainstream before the smaller companies can. But he was right to do the moves that he made. Like, the Attitude Era and Steve Austin and stuff, that was the biggest wrestling's ever been. But once again, the Attitude Era pretty much spun from ECW, and DX spun from NWO, and you know what I'm saying? Like how many of Vince McMahon's original ideas have really worked out to be that great when you really think about it?
No, I get it, and this is always the argument I see against Vince is like, oh well, The Rock, he was a can't miss guy, and he wanted to make him Rocky Maivia and all this shit.
And the ring master for Steve Austin.
Yeah. It's like Hogan, well, obviously Cena, and everybody else he's kind of fumbled. Here's the thing: I don't think there's like that many crossover stars in history. So, I do think that, it's not like you can create these like crossover star every single day. They just don't grow on trees like that. And he did well to get these guys. Now, do I think he could have created more stars over the years? Yes, 100%. 110%. Vince is being this like creative genius and stuff. I see the argument for it being overrated. I see the argument for it being, I don't know if it's underrated. I think some people still think that, oh man, well, he doesn't get this credit for this, and this. I see what you're saying. Here's kind of an argument that I'll have is WCW was doing, well, I love this shit, and this is why I also love mid-90s WWE. Like, the Dungeon of Doom shit that they were doing with Hulk Hogan, that was dumb as fuck. All right?
That's also what got me into wrestling when I was 6.
Right, yeah, I agree. I love that shit, but I can't sit here and be like, oh, Duke the Dumpster Droese sucked, when WCW's got their biggest star doing some dumb shit with Dungeon of Doom.
That's a fair point.
And the NWO, obviously that sparked everything when it came to WWE, and ECW did that stuff as well. But the NWO has been admittedly a thing from New Japan. and whatnot.
It's very true.
The best ideas can often be like Bullet Club. We all love Bullet Club. Bullet Club there's a lot of NWO-ness to Bullet Club. Like,
for sure.
The best ideas can be stolen from elsewhere. It's just how you execute that stuff. And Vince, for a lot of years, would out-execute a lot of people when it came to that stuff. I don't mind that he stole everybody. I don't mind that he stole ideas because he would out-execute when it came to those ideas. Now, could he? I look at the last 20 years as the biggest thing, of the biggest indictment on his like creative genius, because he had 20 years where with no competition, and he could have put the nail in the coffin on other wrestling promotions. Like, TNA, they tried. TNA.
They were never a real threat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't like that it shoots after I've already done that. Like he could have put the nail in the coffin on these other wrestling promotions, and just he could have taken TNA out. He could have taken ROH. He got all these guys, and he fumbled so many of them that's why AEW ended up coming along, because he just fumbled so much over the last 20 years. He couldn't create any more mainstream stars. He had John Cena, and John Cena turned into a big deal. Batista kind of broke out on his own, and otherwise he didn't create another top star, because I think the Brock Lesnar stuff, it's been talked about many times, but I think the Brock Lesnar stuff like burned him, and he tried to make Brock, and then Brock left. He's like, all right, well, fuck this. I'm not going to make anybody now. I don't look at the 80s, 90s as an indictment on him. I definitely look at everything since WCW passed as an indictment on his supposed creative genius and everything, because this is when he should have just nailed in the coffin everybody and not let it get to the point. It should have been this point of, all right, you do your indie run, you build your experience, you get over there, much like Danielson and Brian and Joe and AJ and a lot of these guys, like, you do kind of your thing in these companies for a while, and then eventually it's like WWE is the actual goal, and once you get here, you're elevated even more. They never elevated any of these guys. Like Punk sure they got elevated, obviously. They were in WrestleMania main events and whatnot, but they were always still pushed back to on the part-timer stuff. Or John Cena, when Punk did his long run, he didn't main event. John Cena main evented all these shows. When Danielson was on his run, the Evolution Shield stuff was main eventing these shows, and Danielson might not get his run if Punk doesn't leave and whatnot. So they never fully elevated these guys that they could have elevated. And Punk and Danielson, Punk especially, have said it. The new guys or the old guys were not willing to fully help out with this stuff. And I'm losing my voice already. I gotta fucking I already do a damn 2-hour post show tonight. There's no way I'm able to do it. But
it happens to me too sometimes. You get something caught in like the bottom of your throat.
Yeah,
you can't clear it.
They weren't able to elevate. They were not able to elevate any of these guys when it came down to it. And that's why now they're struggling so much. Because if they had treated Punk well, if they had treated Danielson well, and they had given them some creative freedom and actually put them on this higher pedestal when there was no competition, these guys wouldn't have left, and they wouldn't have walked to the competition. It just and Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, all these guys, they would have been like, all right, you know what, I did my shit here. I was a big star. Now I can actually go to WWE, and I can really prove to everybody, to the largest audience ever, just how good I am. Instead, they're like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be in this system that they've created where they've taken away wrestling from everything. And that's what it comes down to. To me, they could have nailed in the coffin when it came to wrestling. They could have done what AEW is doing and giving you wrestling while still doing stories and stuff, and they just never did. They went too goofy. They focused in on one singular person. It was Cena, and then it was Roman, and everybody else just took a back seat to all of that stuff. And it's still kind of happening. If Roman ain't on the show, SmackDown sucks.
I don't know who would even be considered second to him. I know Becky on the female side, she got really big for at least a while. I don't know how she's doing now, but on the male side, is there anyone that even sniffs the air that Roman Reigns is in right now?
No, and I think New Day could be there, but they're kind of sort of half-assed. It took them so long with that stuff. That's their best story of, hey, it's taken this guy a decade to get here. Now he's here. Everybody cheer. It shouldn't take guys that long
Yeah, dude, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Preach, Jeremy. And I think that that's a big thing, man. This is what I'll close on, is that you're basically where the WWE is at, was like two kind of lines of thinking. One, they didn't want to get Brocked again. They didn't want to get, The Rocked again or anything like that, where like somebody outgrew the company or left them high and dry, that they really made kind of an outlier, like a star. And I think that plays into it. And I think it also, a humongous factor is they were so comfortable that they didn't think it was possible for another company like AEW to come around in their lifetimes. Like, and as a fan, I didn't either. I mean, if you had asked me 5 years ago if there would be a company like AEW around that's this popular, running weekly TV on TV or on the Turner networks, I would say you're crazy even just 5 years ago. So I think they just got ultra comfortable, and a lot of things have changed, and the mindset of a lot of the wrestlers have changed, and then what they want to do. And that is a great kind of bridge as we can wrap up here, that tonight you can watch what we're talking about. AEW almost all out, not all out. AEW Full Gear tonight, which is a stacked card, 10 matches that are all main event level matches in my opinion. So we got a lot of good stuff to watch as wrestling fans. We got the NGI tonight, GCW, Nick Gage Invitational. If you're into hardcore wrestling,
that starts in 10 minutes, right?
Oh, is it already that soon?
Yeah, it starts at 5 Eastern.
Okay, so I'm going to have to actually, man, I got to run up the street. It's about a half hour away. I got to go sell some, I got some DMB's merch that I got to go sell to my guy right now, actually, then. And then I'm going to come back and get caught up in NGI. But thanks for having me on here, Jeremy. I appreciate talking some wrestling today before this big night we got tonight. We have UFC right now, too. Holloway and Yair.
I didn't realize that UFC was early. I'm so happy that it's all going to be done before AEW, because I told you I want to watch the Holloway fight, so I will watch that. I'm going to look over your Cardona article, and then I will let you know on that. I'm sure it is great, but if I can give any feedback, I will. Appreciate you, Steven Jensen. Let's see, everyone, you can be back here at about 7:45, I believe, 7:45 for the watch along of Full Gear. I hope you got the invite, Drew, and if not, yell at Joel Pearl. So we'll be back here at 7:45 on Twitch. After Full Gear, we'll be on youtube.com/Fightful for the Full Gear review. Myself, Alex Plowski, Will Washington will all be there. And then, we're always pumping out content. Jensen, let people know.
Twitter, FightTalk _ FIGHTTALK _. Check out some independent wrestling this weekend. Watch independentwrestling.tv or IWTV.live. They're the same thing, but two ways to get there. Use code FIGHTTALK, FIGHTTALK, all is one word, no spaces. I know last night there was a show with Tomohiro Ishii and a bunch of good stuff. They pump out so many shows. They have like 6,000 wrestling shows from like 270 promotions, I think, on IWTV right now. So use code FIGHTTALK, enjoy some wrestling. And then, of course, tomorrow I'll have a new episode of the Fightful Select Weekender podcast talking indie wrestling, talking GCW, Impact, 205 Live, all that good stuff, NXT UK, all the normal stuff over there at FightfulSelect.com. And thanks again, Jeremy. This was a lot of fun to hang out and talk some wrestling with you.
Always, man. And once you DM'd me everything, I was like, yeah, if you're free, jump on, we'll banter. And
I was literally writing about wrestling like all morning, and I was like, man, I need someone else to look over this before I submit it. It's not due till Monday, so I wanted to give myself a couple day kind of pad here to make sure it's perfect before I send it off. So
yes, I will. I'll look over it. I'll check it out, and I'll let you know about anything. We're going to raid somebody playing some hockey. I tried to find one guy and it looked like he was sleeping, which is tremendous.
Resident sleeper.
I'm trying to raid somebody playing a little hockey who might not get a lot of love. Let's go to
find someone with no viewers playing NHL.
Yeah, this guy's got one viewer.
There you go.
So we're gonna send you there. I am a dill pickle.
Oh, there you go, Rugrats fan. There you go.
All right.
Dill pickles.
I'll send you over there and check him out. Say hi. Enjoy. Hopefully he's doing cool shit over there. It looks like his player is a legit dill pickle, which is tremendous. So you guys have a good night. We'll catch you back on the Twitch for the watch along. Catch you on the YouTube later tonight. Appreciate all y'all. Appreciate you, Jensen. Catch y'all later on.